loves. Welcome to Power Conversations and Connections with Susan. And I have the pleasure of being accompanied by my special guest, business partner, and friend, Debra Bell Campbell. Hi, Debra.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad you're here. So, Debra is an introverted leadership specialist, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about what that means and how that plays into the topic that we're going to cover tonight.
Awesome. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm
You're
excited to
welcome.
be here. So, I am the inspired introvert. So, with that, I am the CEO of Inspired Visions Consulting Group, a training, development, and consulting company where we specialize in supporting introverted women in leadership who wants to increase their career and financial growth by leveraging their authenticity. What that means altogether is, as an introvert is simply, I like to just say simply, you're more quiet than others. Some people say shy, some people say, a whole bunch of things, but really you're just more quiet and more contained in terms of how you manage your energy, how you view the world, that type of thing. More introspective than not.
Versus, that's what I was going to say, introspective. I'm on the other end of the spectrum, and that's how, we developed a program to speak to Deborah's introversion and my extroversion. So one of the things that, I know to be true is extroverts, we talk through decisions, and introverts think before they say something as it relates to the decision. So what we want to talk about tonight and mold that introvert extroversion into is no matter where you are on that spectrum of introversion or extroversion, right?
Right.
We all experience self doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And self doubt is, as we know, one of the things that hinders us, that stops us from maximizing,
Yeah.
the success that we have or the success that we desire in our lives. So, for me, having been an introvert, someone who seems like they have it all together, someone
Yeah.
because I'm vocal, right? Because I
Right.
may speak confidently. There's a misconception
Ooh.
that, oh, she's got it all together. She doesn't experience self doubt. And that's not true.
Right.
So how do you think people perceive you as an introvert leader as it relates to self doubt?
That is a good one because I believe when you are more on the quiet side, people tend to think two things. Either she doesn't ever have anything to say, or it's going to take her forever to say it. And or she has to think about it too long and we need to make the decision. So just because we want to make the decisions fast, we want to get it done, doesn't mean it doesn't require that thoughtful, reflective time to make the best decision. And I think as an introverted leader, sometimes my superiors have just kind of thought, well, she'll get back to us, but by then we would have made the decision. So there's a tendency to just kind of, feel like, well, was I not good enough? Or was
Right, and
my,
I was just going to say, doesn't that lead to self doubt?
yeah,
It leads to you thinking, like you said, was I not good enough, or was I not part of the process?
right,
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 and contrary, to popular belief, when that happens from my side, it can result in decisions being made, too quickly.
right,
Not always, but it can be the result of that. And so then what happens for me or for us in the workplace is we begin to think of, did we think through it enough?
yeah,
Uh, did I consider all of the pieces? what if I had, and then I didn't make the right decision comes out, of the
Right.
self doubt. And whether we want to believe it or not, that bleeds from and into any other areas of self doubt that we've had.
Oh, absolutely. All aspects, I believe, in your life, because then you start to question your relationships, the people that you've connected with. Like, was that a good connection, or am I going to spend more time with this person versus that person? So you start to just kind of second guess who's for you,
Mm-hmm.
true you. You know what I'm saying? So we
Mm-hmm.
we show up to just kind of hide. Okay, I can get this done. I can do this, but the real you, being authentic, you second guess that a little bit. Like, do I have to show up as somebody else in order to be seen?
Yeah, and when I think about cultivating my authenticity, or getting over self doubt, I know for me it had to start with recognizing that I had it in the first place.
Oh
Like
gosh.
before you could tell me, or before anyone said to me, you're really doubting yourself, I had to recognize when I was doubting myself and then ask why, right?
Right.
Especially as, when we're growing up as children, we use all of these words now. We use self doubt,
Right.
authenticity, vulnerability, and
Right.
all of those things that we've learned to describe ourselves. But when we were not, so versed
Right.
in these terms, we use terms like I'm scared, or I don't want to do this. I don't know if I'm with the right person. And, it started with, are you in the right clique?
Oh yeah. Oh
Are
yeah.
because they're over here and you're over here, and they look this way but you don't look that way. And that's where the self-doubt,
Right.
started for me. The self-doubt and the low self-esteem, and learning that I wasn't as confident as I thought. That came later,
Right.
when I attached, some growth and stuff to it. But
Right.
initially it was, how do I even fit in, with this crowd?
Oh, absolutely. And not for me, not just a crowd. I'm number 8 of 12.
Wow.
So I wasn't the baby. I wasn't the middle. I wasn't
And
the
you wasn't the
oldest.
oldest.
So I was somewhere, well, 8 in that spectrum. And so I believe it started there, because then it's just kind of, where do I fit? And what do I have to do to get mom's attention, dad's attention? And we were really, really big into church and church activities,
Mm-hmm.
school activities. So just trying to figure out where I even fit in the family, other than just being a Bell girl. That's a Bell
Right.
girl right there, or that's a Bell right there.
Right.
You
By
know?
the family name.
Yes,
No, by
that
the
was
family name.
it.
So what do you think that you did with that, as you began to get older? How do you think that trying to figure out where you were in the spectrum and outside of that church environment, how do you think that impacted you when you began to, as we say, go out into the world?
I would say it impacted me so much, to my quest became, I want to know what people are thinking. Like, I want to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I determine, how do I become different outside of who the Bells were? How do I be somebody different with that? And I remember just trying to figure out, what you want to be when you grow up,
Right,
with them
right.
still figuring
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out,
we
right?
still figuring
I,
that
I
one
didn't
out.
know it would, I would
Right.
still be
We
doing
would
it, right?
yes, I think I'm there, but yeah, it's an evolution.
Still figuring it out. But I wanted to be a psychiatrist for that reason, because
Mm-hmm.
I was going to find some answers. It's like, why am I different? What makes me think the way I'm thinking? And I don't think like any of my other siblings. My friends, like, I can count them on one hand. But I always have been able to count them on one hand.
And you see, the thing about that is even in that discussion, even in that sharing that you just had, the doubt,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to pursue psychology because I don't think like there was something wrong
Right,
with not thinking like everyone else.
right.
So it's kind of, it begins just at that ingraining, and for me, as it relates to psychology, I think, that's one of the things that, we have in common, and why we get along so well. Is when I went to college, I wanted to be a psychologist. Not because I wanted to know what everyone thought. I wanted to be a psychologist because I had read the book Yin and Yang,
Mm-hmm.
right? Me, Yin to Yang, and I was just interested in it. I was interested in psychology and the thoughts of the mind. One, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I didn't pursue it because I was fearful. So
Oh,
it was kind of, the self doubt made me want to do it, and then the self doubt stopped me
me
from
from
doing
doing
it
it.
because I
Oh,
didn't
that's
think,
good.
that I could. So it's really interesting that you would say that's what you wanted to do for that reason. So even at that age, we're
Mm-hmm.
chasing and
Yeah,
trying to figure out how to come out of self doubt. And we didn't even define it like that then.
that's true. Absolutely. And still, there are those moments when you talk about taking risk. Even for myself, it's more of calculated risk than it
Mm-hmm.
is just kind of stepping out there. Some people are like, okay, I'm gonna just do it.
Right.
Well, I come to the conclusion of just doing things, but it's very calculated to a certain degree.
But I think that I think that comes from falling, like trying and falling and trying and failing and having these fails, and then, like, for me, I would, do stuff, and then I had to step back and realize, wait a minute. So I became more
Mm-hmm.
strategic.
There you
And
go.
even though now I take risk, I'm not jumping off a bridge with you
Yeah,
because you said let's go jump off a bridge. You know what I mean? And of course, I'm using that loosely.
of course.
But just that entire, I have to, I know that there's something over there. I don't, I work through the doubt, but before I do it, I have to work through the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it and still then doubt with such a magnitude. For example, when I started, the podcast, I knew what I had in my head. There was some doubt, but not the level of doubt that was going to make me stifled,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it was still, doubt along the way. But I was able, because I prepared and I was strategic about it, I had
Absolutely.
something to fight with, in other words. So, what is the thing that you've used to fight through the doubt?
You said a key word, which is strategy. So even when, I say I'm the inspired introvert, well, with that, preparing and planning, that's really my comfort.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets me through the doubt. Once I prepared it and I planned it and I practiced it, I know at that I know where I'm
Right?
going, and I'm pretty confident that I'll accomplish whatever task or whatever goal that I set out. So just using the skills that I'm already good at. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we forget.
Yeah.
We forget that, hey, you may be quiet, you might be a little bit more contained, but planning, practicing, all of that, that's your superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace that. When you think about authenticity, embrace that. Like, I may not do it like you do it, but all at the same
But you do
time.
it your way.
And by doing it my way, I work through that self doubt.
And that's key, by doing it my way.
Yeah.
Darren and I were talking when we were doing the podcast, and she was talking about how her perspective of a situation, literally the same situation, was different because she was looking at it from a daughter, and I was looking at it from a mother. And at the same time, she was trying to see it from my eyes, I was trying to see it from hers, and we were able to, meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using that as an example because there was some intentionality about my steps that I was taking. And in doing that, it made me confident that what I was doing was
Right.
better than what I was doing before, and I was going to have a better result than what I was doing before. So the doubt was able to not even, it came but it didn't stay because I had a course.
Right.
I had a plan, and I think that we underestimate the power of understanding what I need to do to overcome self doubt. And for you, it's that planning
Oh, yeah.
and that preparation, and it's for me, I have a strategy to it. Once I can understand what the vision is, and then I can kind of study and make myself comfortable with it to a certain degree, I know that I don't know all the parts.
Right.
And I know things are going to pop up and things might make me triple back.
Right.
But I still know that I've got enough in me from that pre
Yeah.
readiness to get over it.
And trusting the process. And I know we hear that all the time, trust the process. But there is truth in that.
It is.
When, like you said, if we never try, we never know if we can do it. Self doubt will prevent you from trying.
And I absolutely agree. And on both instances, some things that we say now, we say them because they have become known. But trust in the process has always existed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true. We have to trust the process. We have to know that things are a process.
Right.
And in the process comes confidence.
Yes.
Confidence is the superpower,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh,
Of
yeah.
self-doubt.
Absolutely.
So what do you
That's your reward.
yeah.
Confidence is the reward when you can walk through and push through the self doubt.
And so that's the thing that you wear, as a badge of honor. Now, how do I get to the point
Right.
of, like I say, walking in the room, squaring my shoulders, and I'm here, in full, effect. I know for me, it was a lot of self work, really working through the things that were pushing my confidence down, including the people and dealing with a lot of stuff that did that. So then that Susan you see as super confident is really Susan who's now super confident.
Right.
But how did you work, or where are you in the space of being really confident in what you're doing and how you're pursuing the things that you have determined to do in your life?
I am big on self talk. Like, I am one of those people, you know, not just kind of, if you see me on the street, I'm talking to myself kind of thing. Not that, but big on self talk. So from the moment I wake up, I start positively. You know what I mean? So working my way through building confidence is really doing all of those things. You see a lot of things, but positive self talk. So I'm into the affirmations, I'm into routines, centering myself. Sometimes it's through prayer, sometimes it's through my walking, sometimes it's through mantras. But just finding those things to kind of help get me prepared for each day, and just reminding myself with those affirmations, they are geared toward me, my
Yes.
leadership journey, the things that I need to help me grow as a person, and not so generic, even though I am enough is one of those that speaks to everybody. But in a sense, to me, that's generic. I am enough. But there are some other things that I like to remind myself of. So that's one step at a time with building confidence. So positive affirmations, setting goals. And we were just talking about celebrating the wins. That is so big in terms of confidence.
And I think it's one of the biggest. When we talk about goal setting, sometimes people see it, as this lovely thing. For example, at the beginning of the year, everybody does the
Oh, yeah.
vision boards and, this is what I'm going to do for the year and so on and so forth. And then Not for everyone,
Right.
surely not for everyone. Some of that fizzles as time goes on, right?
Right.
I think that's because we have something we want to do
Yeah.
as a goal, but we don't map out a way to get there. And it's the mapping out
Oh,
that
absolutely.
leads to the small win. It's the early morning affirmation that leads to the belief, that
Yes.
leads to the confidence. For me, it's the early morning prayer and journaling that leads to the I can do whatever I have decided to fill that spot
Right.
in with, that leads to the confidence, right? And
Absolutely.
every step along the way for confidence leads to defeating, self doubt. And a goal, as we've heard, again, true, a goal without a plan
Okay.
is just something you want to talk about and say.
Absolutely.
But you have to have some things behind it. So what are some of the I know you do those personal things for yourself.
Right.
How do you transition that to building confidence in your team and the people that you're leading at work?
Oh, wow. I'm a strong believer in leading by example. So, as an introverted leader, getting to know my people and what they're good at, learning what they're good at, and then encouraging them along the way and allowing them to do the things that they are great at.
And do you have time for that? And-
I do because I have a small team right now, and so watching them do the things that they like, I say their superpower, and then just coming back. I know I don't do it as often as I would like to do it, but just one-on-one sessions with them, discussions. I won't call them sessions, but one-on-one discussions where we talk about where do you see yourself, what would you like to do, how can I help you get there?
And see that last question?
How can I
That's the
help?
thing right
How
there.
can I help you
You
get
know,
there?
um, as being in corporate, in the leadership, all different leadership capacities. And the reason I said, do you have time, is those of us who make time
Yeah,
have time. So whether you have a small team or a large team, you have to make
you
time.
do.
Just like we make time for ourselves. And I think sometimes there's a disconnect because I make time for myself. You make time for yourself. You make time for the things that will enrich you, that will kill your self doubt, that will increase your confidence. And then you walk into the workplace. And as the leader, you don't position yourself to do that
Right.
for your people. But those of us who do that can see and ask those questions. And what is it that you want to do? And sometimes that has nothing to do with where they currently are.
Absolutely.
And we have to be okay with that. Oh, don't they like me? Why don't they want to stay in my department? I don't want them to go anywhere. No. If you're a confident leader, you're willing and ready to prepare them. And then not only will you let them fly, you'll push them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's for me it's about I this may not be where you want to be, but somebody has to sit in that chair over there where I'm sitting. I would,
That's
if
good.
this is where you want it to be, then I want to help you get there. I've never been that leader who didn't push people, push them into the potential.
I think that takes such a level of confidence as a leader to be able to be okay
Oh yeah.
with pushing and giving what you have away so that someone else, can grow. Um, it's critical to you because as a leader, if you're not leading,
Right.
if nobody's following, are you really
You're a
a
leader.
are you are you really
Right.
a leader? Except in title,
Right.
right?
Right.
So keeping those things in the forefront. I know for me, I'm at a great place as it relates to confidence in the things that I recognize are my things.
Right.
right? Not Deborah's things, not this person things or that person things, but the things that are for me,
Right.
right? And staying focused, I think, is another great defeater of self doubt.
I agree. There are just, as an introvert, we already say it's a world full of noise anyway, right? So being able to, in today's society, really blot out, and I
Mm-hmm.
think as you become more confident and you increase your confidence, you do have to realize that it is all about the things that I know I'm great at and
Mm-hmm.
sharing those things with the world,
That's right.
even if there are 1,000 people out there who are talking about introverted leadership like I'm talking about it. They're not me. They don't bring to the table what I bring to the table.
And even if they brought the same thing to the table, they don't do it in the way that you do it.
Absolutely.
And being in a world full of noise,
Yeah.
right? I know one thing for me. I've learned the value of not being noisy. I've learned the value of overcoming my self-doubt or situations that may come up that would produce self-doubt
Right.
by being quiet, by being introspective, by listening and reading and learning from the lessons that I had before. And I'm becoming more and more attuned with, I think eventually I'm going to be, at my core, I'm always going to be an extrovert,
Right.
but eventually um, I'm learning to see the qualities, because in the leadership space, I had to see both if I
Right.
was going to excel.
Right.
And I still have to do that, but I'm talking on a personal level. Now, in a personal space, I'm starting to see the balance that I need between the noise and not the noise to be able to continue to combat the things that try to keep me from moving forward. And really, one of the things that does me equally is speaking affirmations out loud, but silently, just saying, being in a space of my own.
Right.
They're both starting to have a great bearing on me not always, wallowing in can I do, did I say, are they gonna like, those
Exactly.
types of conversations with myself.
Exactly. There's a lot of pressure to speak up. And I know we hear it all the time. Well, you got to speak up and speak up and speak up. There's a lot of pressure to do that. I think as you increase your confidence in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you decrease that self-doubt that, oh, I'm not speaking up enough because you're confident and you know when to speak. That's the thing.
That's
Like
it.
you can be talking, but just knowing when to speak up is the confidence. That's squashing the self doubt right there, and you don't question yourself about, okay, did I speak up? You, no,
Because it's
there's
not arbitrary.
right,
You're just not doing it to do it.
right.
But again, there's some purpose behind it.
Oh yeah,
So, we've talked about quite a few things as it relates to self doubt. We've talked about personal, we've talked about leadership, but I know that um, all of it is valuable.
yeah.
What is one of the things that, if a person listened to this podcast, if they didn't take anything else away from you as it relates to how you continuously defeat self doubt, what would that be?
I would say always, always, always operate in your gifts. Operate in your gifts, your strengths. Operate in those. Because everybody has their thing. Like God gave everybody their special talent. Horn in on those and embrace your special talents. And don't let anybody tell you that you have to be different to be the best that you can be.
That's really good. I really like that because if I embrace what I'm good at,
Hmm.
I'm almost certain to be confident in it.
Yes.
because I know that I'm good at it. I'm not arrogant, but I can hold my head because I can carry this right here. I
Absolutely.
like that. I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I would say is figure out what is the process that you need to get through to defeat the self-doubt. And what I mean by that is when it comes up,
Right.
this is it. Face what it is. I doubt that I can here, and reverse it.
Yeah.
What if I did? What steps would I take to get there?
I like
Because
that.
if you can define the path
Mm-hmm.
to get there, you will chop, 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 chop at the self-doubt that tells you you can't.
I like that.
Set a course. Have a plan. Be very strategic about what you're doing,
Right.
you know, and don't announce everything to the world. Sometimes self-doubt is best served with confidence through your own moves first
Right. Right.
before you ask someone else to validate,
Absolutely.
right?
Self-awareness is a big deal. Like
Absolutely.
if you just becoming aware of yourself, like you said, that's a big deal.
It's a gift.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It really is one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself. And understanding what your gift
Mm-hmm.
is becoming very self-aware. I'm gonna take that one for sure.
You got
Yeah,
it. You
I'm
got
gonna take that one. It's really good though.
Yeah.
I mean, if I operate in what I know to be true about me, then that automatically gives me a level of who I could do
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you, D Bell,
You're
as we
welcome.
call her in our world.
Right.
Thank you so much for your wisdom and guidance. Many successes, of course. You know, this is not going to be our first or last time, but I really thank you for joining the conversation.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad I got the opportunity.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining Power Conversations and Connections with Susan, where we talk life, the beauty and vulnerability on the journey to self love and evolving into our best selves. Debra Bell Campbell is Inspired Introvert Nuggets all over Facebook, Instagram. She is D. Bell Campbell, and of course on LinkedIn. She has a wonderful platform over there with the newsletter. So if you know any introverts who need to grow and become better in what they're doing in leadership, tap into her. Meanwhile, thank you, and we'll see you next time.